Pre-season testing began at the Circuit de Catalunya, where all 10 teams were looking to show off their brand new 2018 cars and try and win the Formula 1 World Championship. The first team to unveil their livery was actually Mercedes-Benz, and well, it was an unchanged livery in fact. Mercedes-Benz put out a poll and they decided to let their fans vote for the livery that they wanted. They were given the option from the 2013 livery all the way up to the 2017 livery, in which the fans decided that they'd like to see the 2017 livery on the Mercedes-Benz car for another season. Mercedes say that they're happy with whatever the fans picked and spent a lot of their time making sure their car was ready to take a bigger fight to Ferrari as they look stronger than ever. Mercedes-Benz in doing so have brought in a brand new driver to partner alongside Lewis Hamilton, and that is the Australian Daniel Ricciardo. All the controversy surrounding Thomas Fox and Red Bull has actually unsettled Daniel Ricciardo, and he felt like he needed to move on if he was going to win world championships, and he felt like the opportunity that he got from Mercedes-Benz was too good to put down, and he'll be partnering alongside Lewis Hamilton in what seems a deadly combo for Mercedes-Benz AMG Petronas Formula 1 team. Mercedes' 2017 challenger Ferrari rocked up with a brand new livery coming into the 2018 season. Ferrari will be using a red and black livery for the 2018 season rather than the standard red and white livery, a change that not many people in the paddock were expecting. And another change in the paddock that nobody was expecting was Ferrari had now signed Max Verstappen from Red Bull to join Ferrari, with Kimi Raikkonen announcing his retirement from Formula 1. Verstappen said that he was extremely upset and angry with Red Bull that he was left out of last season after Red Bull decided to quickly try and sign Thomas Fox for the 2017 season. Of course, Verstappen was then given the offer to go back to Red Bull then for the 2018 season, in which he immediately turned down the contract offer and said it was a disgrace that he was removed from the Red Bull program in the first place. Jos Verstappen, Max Verstappen's father, immediately contacted Maurizio Arrivabene from Ferrari, and the two of them agreed a big deal to sign Max Verstappen for Ferrari for the 2018 season. Will Sebastian Vettel be able to cope with the speed of Max Verstappen, and can Max shine in the Scuderia Ferrari? It was all changed for Red Bull, however, as they broke their covers in the test for the Circuit de Catalunya, with them officially announcing that they will be partnered with Aston Martin to create Aston Martin Red Bull Racing. They launched their covers very early on, and actually was the first team to unveil their covers here at the Circuit de Catalunya. However, Red Bull have been in a lot of problems in the pre-season era, and it's not been going well for them. Although their car may be very competitive, with all of the allegations that has gone on around Thomas Fox, it's caused a lot of problems for Christian Horner and Dr. Helmut Marko. Daniel Ricciardo left Red Bull after he was upset with what was happening regarding the entire situation with Thomas Fox. Max Verstappen left Red Bull because he was left out of last season and said he had no chance of going back to Red Bull, and that left Red Bull in a very big problem as they had no drivers for the 2018 season. So they had to think big. The first person to drive for the Aston Martin Red Bull team is Carlos Sainz. He was initially going to be going to Renault for the 2018 season, but Red Bull needed to act fast and pulled him out of the deal to go to Renault so that Red Bull could actually have a driver in their lineup. Following this, Red Bull have also automatically promoted Pierre Gasly from Toro Rosso to come straight into Red Bull, saying that he definitely has the talent and deserves a shot at Red Bull. It's all panic down at Red Bull, however. Dr. Helmut Marko and Christian Horner still believe that their car is extremely competitive and can challenge Mercedes and Ferrari, and they say that they have the car to do it, and they believe it's now up to Carlos Sainz and also Pierre Gasly to show that they have what it takes to go toe-to-toe with the best in Formula 1. Williams turned up at the Circuit de Catalunya with a lot of problems in the pre-season testing, very similar to Red Bull Racing, but theirs was slightly different. Williams had actually agreed a deal to become a title sponsor with Aston Martin, or Aston Martin had actually offered to become a title sponsor for Williams, and in which the deal had been agreed. However, just a few weeks before pre-season began, the deal between Aston Martin and Williams actually broke down after some contract negotiations just wasn't getting sorted, and pretty much it was down to the money, as sources are trying to show, but Williams never actually confirmed that. So Williams had to think big and had to think on their toes, and they tried to get a new sponsorship deal with Martini for the rest of this season, in which Martini said that they would agree to be a sponsor with Williams for the rest of the season. Williams had initially dropped Martini as their sponsor to go and join forces with Aston Martin, but of course after Aston Martin said no after negotiations broke down, Williams needed some form of sponsors for the 2018 season, and Martini offered to come back to Williams for one more season, but they have said this will be their last season with Williams and they will not be doing any more. Williams offered a very big amount of money in order to keep Martini just for one more season, as they needed something in order to provide more sponsorships. For the 2018 season, Williams have been keeping Lance Stroll for this 2018 season, as most sources believe that it is down to Lance Stroll having a lot of money in the paddock. However, Williams believes that this is actually false, and that they believe that Stroll is a very competitive driver. Joining Lance Stroll is going to be the returning Robert Kubica. Kubica was last seen in Formula 1 in 2010 driving for Renault, and after his horrible crash in 2011 in rallying, we haven't seen Robert since, but he's done a lot of testing with Renault and also with Williams, and has done some other testing as well with Williams that has not been noted, and it appears that Williams are ready to take on Robert Kubica for the 2018 season. It's one of the greatest comebacks probably in sporting history, so it's all down to Kubica to see how well he can do in the 2018. Force India arrived into the 2018 season with high hopes after their strong 2017 season, and rocked up with a brand new purple and pink livery heading into the 2018 season. There were not really many changes for Force India coming into this season, with the same driver lineup as last season, as Sergio Perez will be partnering alongside Esteban Ocon for yet another season. Force India say that they've learnt a lot from the 2017 season, and from this season they will now let their drivers race head to head. Last season, of course, due to all the incidents, especially at Azerbaijan, the Hungarian Grand Prix, and also at the Belgian Grand Prix, Force India restricted the racing between the two drivers. However, this season they believe that it's now time for a clean slate, and they will let their drivers race head to head. But they have said that if any form of collisions happen, just like in the last race, they will be forced to step in, but they don't want to do too much to affect their drivers. Force India roll up with this new season with a very strong and competitive car. Their straight line speed performance seems to be on point, but they still need to do some work with the aerodynamics and a little bit more work to the chassis if they're going to be up there challenging to the top teams. But Vijay Mallya still expects their team to do extremely well heading into the 2018 season. Renault came into the 2018 season with high hopes after their 6th place finish in the Constructors' Championship last season, after they managed to overhaul Toro Rosso in the final race of the season. Coming into this season then, there was a few changes for the Renault team, and the first one was the livery change. Renault have moved from a yellow and black livery to a blue and black livery for this season, a slight change from last season. Their driver lineup has also taken a slight change. Nico Hülkenberg retains his seat at Renault. However, after Carlos Sainz was called away from Renault and called back to Red Bull, Renault needed to find another driver, and they decided to call up Sergei Sorokin to join Nico Hülkenberg for the 2018 season. This was a big deal for Sergei Sorokin, who was rumoured to be moving to Williams, until Williams decided to take the talent of Robert Kubica rather than the extra finances that Sorokin could provide. Sorokin will now be driving alongside Nico Hülkenberg, and he says that he is ready for the challenge and looks to take the fight to Nico Hülkenberg, and to prove a lot of his critics wrong. A lot of the critics for Sergei Sorokin believe that Sorokin is only in Formula 1 because he has money, and that he doesn't really have as much talent as people may think. Sorokin says that he does indeed have the finances to get into Formula 1. However, now this is his breakout chance, and now he needs to show why he deserves to be in Formula 1 based off of his talent rather than money. Toro Rosso came into the 2018 season determined to bounce back after their devastating loss of 6th place in the Constructors' Championship to Renault last season. However, it was a very, very difficult pre-season for Toro Rosso. The first problem was the entire Red Bull driver program. With Thomas Fox, Daniel Ricciardo and Max Verstappen all leaving Red Bull, that left Carlos Sainz and also Pierre Gasly to jump into Red Bull. That meant there was no drivers for Toro Rosso, as they had to call them from Toro Rosso. Brendan Hartley retains his seat in Toro Rosso after he was there for the second half of the season in the 2017 season. However, Nico Carey, who has been given the green light to join Toro Rosso for this 2018 season. Carey says that he's very, very delighted to be part of Formula 1 and of the Red Bull driver program, and says that he will try his best not to fail in the Toro Rosso seat and hopefully push for the Red Bull seat in the near future. However, it's not been a good pre-season for Toro Rosso. Toro Rosso say that their straight line speed is decent, but the aerodynamics in the chassis are just extremely poor, and unfortunately it looks like for the team, rather than being in the midfield pack like they were last season, it looks like we'll be seeing Toro Rosso at the very back of the field, fighting for any sort of positions, maybe not even in the points, or maybe just trying to get at least 1 point in the Grand Prix. It's not been good for Toro Rosso so far this season, but let's see what Brendan Hartley and Nico Kari can do for the team. The F1 2018 season saw its very first new team in Formula 1, and Haas had decided to drop out of Formula 1 for the 2018 season, and that paved the way for Audi to jump on into the Formula 1 season. And it was finally clear on where Thomas Fox had moved after he was called back into Formula 1. It was Audi that gave him the call, and it was a shocked person that actually gave Thomas the call to join Audi. It was 2016 Formula 1 World Champion Nico Rosberg that called Tom and said to join Audi. Rosberg had bought minor shares from Audi themselves to try and get the team into Formula 1. Nico Rosberg was then head of the Audi's racing department for Formula 1, so of course when he entered Audi into Formula 1, Rosberg automatically took a seat in Formula 1, and he needed to find someone to partner alongside of him. And he gave the phone call to Thomas Fox to say that, look, I know all these allegations are going on in the background, however, I still feel like you are the driver that I need to help push Audi forwards. And Thomas took the contract offer that Rosberg had gave, and he's now driving for Audi. So the mystery has finally been revealed on where Thomas has landed himself in this season. Moving into pre-season, it was actually a very strong one for Audi, who looked very, very good in testing with a very good straight line speed, and overall their chassis and aerodynamics were very, very strong. Both Rosberg and Thomas were very happy with the performance of their cars, and they expect to be within the midfield fight, but fighting a lot in the points, and don't expect to be having many races, if at all any races, where they're fighting for no points whatsoever. Things look bright for Audi moving into their first season in Formula 1. It was all changed from McLaren heading into the 2018 season with a brand new engine supplier for the team. McLaren had finally divorced from Honda after what was a poor 3 years for the team, and McLaren have now switched to Renault engines and are now known as McLaren Renault. McLaren Renault have moved into the 2018 season with a lot of confidence, as they can already see dramatic changes to the performance of the car and expect to be battling for points every single Grand Prix and less of any sort of issues. McLaren Renault have also got a very decent chassis obviously behind them, with McLaren obviously having a very good chassis in the first place, and they feel like this Renault power unit has transformed the team and has also lifted the spirits of many people within the team itself. The McLaren have kept the same driver lineup as Fernando Alonso and Stoffel Van Dorn heading into the 2018 season, with McLaren also staring a brand new livery of blue and also orange. The livery came mostly from the Indy 500, where it was mostly a blue and orange livery, and that's seemed to be a popular fan favourite livery in that Indy 500, so McLaren went ahead and basically did a very similar replica look for it. However, McLaren are focusing more on obviously their performance, as they need it, and are looking to try and get main title sponsors for the next season by performing well in this season. It's a big move for McLaren, and it's a big season for them. The final team to unravel their livery for the 2018 season was Sauber, but they have now changed to BMW Sauber. BMW have returned to Formula 1 after their absence since 2009 and look to rejuvenate their partnership with Sauber for the 2018 season. BMW say that this is going to be a very, very interesting journey for them, and they already expect this season to be nothing more than just their first season in terms of entrance, as they don't believe they have the pace to really compete and will be looking to mainly beat Toro Rosso for this season, so they already expect to be a backmarker team. Pascal Wehrlein will be driving alongside Valtteri Bottas in BMW Sauber. Bottas was removed by Mercedes after they went and snatched Daniel Ricciardo from Red Bull, and Pascal Wehrlein stays on at Sauber after the Sauber had removed themselves from the Ferrari program after BMW bought out most of the shares. BMW will be putting a lot of finances into Sauber, but like I said, this season Sauber are not expected to be up there as they should be, but it's very good in Formula 1 to see yet another car manufacturer in Formula 1. The pre-season testing is finally over, and it's clear to see that we have a three-way fight at the top of the championship with Mercedes, Ferrari and Red Bull, but with the midfield pack being so close behind, expect some surprises coming into this Grand Prix. The Formula 1 2018 season season is a 12-round season, and it is more hyped up than ever before, with it being extremely close at the top of the championship. Stay tuned next Saturday where the Formula 1 2018 season will kick off, and we will find out what all the teams have got in store and who's done the best job heading into this brand new season.